thank you very much, everyone, for joining me live or for watching this recording. We have a tremendous turnout today. Amazing. Thank you. In this Success Intelligence Mastermind discovery call over the next 50 minutes or so, I'm going to introduce you to the mastermind, the origins and how it began, the vision and the purpose, the history of it. This mastermind is now moving into its 9th year. So SI 2025 will be the 9th time that we will do this, which is rather exciting. And I will just enough to say that enrollment is now open. Places are booked by application on a first come, first serve basis. And the early bird rate is also active now. There will be time for some coaching and Q&A as well. But before that, really what I want to do is just share with you some thoughts, some teachings that are in alignment with this mastermind. I think the very best way to ever explain anything is just to get in and give it a go. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to begin with a centering practice. So let's take a moment just to center ourselves and be really present. Being present sounds like a good idea. Sounds like the sort of thing it would be good for all of us to do every once in a while. Getting the hang of being present is a really big deal. And yet I do believe it is the great key to success, the great key to happiness, the great key to living a guided life, the great key to abundance. I never used to think like this. I always used to think that the key to all of those things was getting into the future as fast as possible. But along the way, I traded the future in for the present. And when you give now more of a chance, now gets a hell of a lot more interesting. So we're going to be present for a minute, and we can do that by getting a feeling for where our feet are. I always say, if you can find your feet, then you can find the present moment. The best way I connect with the present moment is always by finding my feet. And sometimes my awareness is a long, long way away from my feet. It's usually up in my head. So I find my feet, I plant myself on the ground, and I said, here I am. And then the next thing I often do is I just put my hand on my heart, partly just to remind myself that I have got a heart. And that this heart is capable of great, great wisdom. And it's offering me guidance and inspiration every step of the way. Once I do that, then I find I can allow the mind to become nice and still. And when the mind is still, it becomes really receptive. And instead of trying to think everything through by itself, it now can be receptive to the bigger thoughts, the larger mind, the inspiration that's always available to us. And let's just agree to have a wonderful time together as I share these words with you. These are from Louise Hay, and it's from a book called Trust Life. Love Yourself Every Day with Wisdom, from Louise Hay. This was the book that I compiled, edited, and wrote the foreword for, to say thank you to Louise. I am already a beautiful, successful person. I am already a beautiful, successful person. I have within me all the ingredients for success, just like the acorn has the complete oak tree curled within its tiny form. I set standards that are achievable for where I am right now. I encourage and praise my improvements. It's okay for me to learn from every experience, and it's okay for me to make mistakes while I'm learning. This is the way I move from success to success, and every day it gets a little easier to see things in this light. When failure appears before me, I no longer run away from it. Rather, I acknowledge it as a lesson. I give failure no power. There is only one power in this entire universe, and this power is 100% successful in everything it does. It created me, and therefore I am already a beautiful, successful person. I'm already a beautiful, successful person. Thank you. So, the theme for this discovery call is living a larger life. And it was Thomas Aquinas who said that everybody is capable of the universe. And the reason we're capable of the universe is because it was the universe that made us. We have the experience of being a separate self, a small self. And often that experience of separateness means we end up arguing for our limitations. We have a sense there's only so much we can do. We have a sense of what we can do and what we can't do. We don't just come up with this by ourselves. We have people to help us out with this. You know, we've been raised often by people who have passed on their limitations to us. We've been raised by people who have told us, don't shine too much, don't be too big. Out of love, they've told us this because they want us to be protected and to be safe and to not be endangered by the world. We also have a history throughout every culture where often showing up and being more of who we really are has often got us into trouble. It's the most natural thing in the world is to want to become more and more of who you are. And yet it can be difficult. Being seen, being willing to show up and be who you really are, that's a big deal. And yet we are called to do it. And we're called to do it as an act of love more than anything else. We are here, I think, to live a larger life. Success Intelligence was very much in the beginning a project about just that. How can we create new definitions of success that are good for us and also good for the planet too? I called it Success Intelligence because I wanted to add some more intelligence to the conversation about, well, what even is a successful life? The way we run around in the world chasing success, you know, it doesn't look very intelligent most of the time. So I wanted to see if there was a way in which we could make success spiritual. We could make success more soulful. We could make success more heartfelt. So Success Intelligence, initially it began as a boutique consultancy. There was just a handful of us. And the idea, though, was to put a message out into the world, a message that I wanted to live for myself and then share with the world. And one thing led to another. I've got to say, I think the best form of marketing on the planet is an open heart. If you can have an open heart is the best form of marketing ever. You know, if you can just go for it, even when that little voice inside says, don't share that, not on the stage, not in front of these people, you know, but when you hear that voice and you say, don't worry, we'll get out of this alive, you and me will be fine. And you share your truth and you share what you believe in and you keep sending out messages of love into the world. There's no greater marketing on the planet than that. And more than that, it's the way we end up making friends with our true friends, the friends who are going to be here for us on our journey as well. So the consultancy started, with a very small beginning, and then before long, we were working with some great companies, working with some great entrepreneurs. I wrote it up in Authentic Success, and then many years later, very recently, in a book called Higher Purpose. But the project really is asking us to look deeply at what it means to live a successful life, a fulfilling life, a life full of purpose, inspiration, creativity, and most of all, love. My first question to you right now is, what does living a larger life mean to you? When you hear those words, living a larger life, what's the invitation inside those words for you? What do they mean for you right now? Now, I'm not asking you necessarily to be able to come up with an answer right now, but I want you to at least write those words down, living a larger life, and see if you can live with those words for a while. Personally, I don't think living a larger life means necessarily doing more, earning more, expanding your social media reach. It could do. I think it's more important than that. I think it's about being even more of who you really are. It's about hooking yourself up to a power greater than your ego. It's about swapping adrenaline for grace. It's about giving birth to the God seed that exists in you already. The God seed is a term that the wonderful Jean Houston talked about. We were listening to Jean just only a few moments ago on a program called The Hero's Journey, and Jean was talking about the importance of accessing your own depths in order to take the greatest stride of soul you ever took. It's quite a statement, isn't it? To take the greatest stride of soul you ever took. That's from a Christopher Fry poem that she can often recite at will, and will. It's beautiful. What does it mean for you, living a larger life? I believe for the most part, we are all of us invited to step into a larger life. And the invitation comes to us in all sorts of ways. But it is there, it's always there for us. Sometimes it's a delightful invitation full of inspiration and grace and loveliness. Other times the inspiration comes to us through some sort of misfortune, through some sort of heartbreak, through some sort of derailment, or even a detour. Nonetheless, we are asked, I think, to live a larger life again and again. And more than ever before, I think, on the planet right now, we're being asked to step into that larger life, to connect to a self that is larger than our own ego, to connect to a purpose that is larger than just our own purpose, and to connect with a great work that is happening on the planet right now. So through my work with the mastermind, one of the things that I like to do is to arrange for a group of people to support each other in their great work. Living a larger life means participating in a great work, a work that fits with who you are, but also with the historic mission of the times. I want to show you a book I was given recently. It's quite hard to pick it up. So if you've got a visual on this, here it is. It's the biggest book I was ever given. Okay, so this is The Red Book by Carl Jung. And this is the book that was published 50 years after Carl Jung's death. It's essentially a write-up of his journals. And not every version is this big. This one is illustrated, and it's extraordinary. It was a gift given to me by a graduate of the Success Intelligence Mastermind program and who is now on my mentoring track. And I'm super grateful to her for this extraordinary book. Carl Jung said that the spirit of the times must be informed by the spirit of the depths. If you are going to step forward in your life and do your great work, then you must let yourself be supported by the spirit of the depths. You must allow your ancestry, you must allow your lineage, you must allow life and the universe itself to support you every single step of the way, because you can't do it by yourself. When you hear that voice say, I can't do this, it's saying to you, basically, it's telling you the truth. You can't. You can't do the thing you're here to do. You can't be the person you're here to be unless you do it with the help of the universe. And that's why I like creating structures which can help us support each other along the way. We're here to do a great work. The great work, I believe, is to become more finely and deeply human. I don't think humanity has quite got the hang of being human yet. We're on our way. We all of us have our good days. But for the most part, there is something pretty amazing about being human that we're still trying to tap into and explore. And one of the paradoxes of really being human is that if we can be really, really human, we'll end up also being really, really divine. We will find a way to be equally human and equally divine in an ordinary and extraordinary way. What I hope to do on a SI Mastermind is participate for myself personally in a round table, if you like, with a group of people where we are finding a way to be even more ourselves as part of the great work. We're going to be even more who we are. We're going to dare to show up more fully than ever before in our body, in our heart, in our soul. And we will be, to borrow a phrase from the University of Santa Monica, we will become more soul-centered in everything we do. We'll see if we can find a way to be soul-led, soul-inspired, and truly, truly informed by our psyche, our soul. Holly and I are just back from a trip to Findhorn, and in Findhorn, it's a place where we have a home, and it's a very important place to us. It's an eco community, a spiritual center in the northeast of Scotland, a wonderful place. And there's a universal hall there, and we've taught there often. We taught there this summer actually with the Hero's Journey, and we were there to see a concert with this gentleman. I've popped a picture up of Mike Scott and his band, Mike Scott and the Waterboys. How many of you have come across Mike Scott on your travels? Just to see. Mike Scott is a rock and roll mystic, you could say, and he's very much sort of in the line of a Van Morrison and a Bob Dylan. He lived in Findhorn for a number of years. One of his albums with the Waterboys is called Universal Hall because he recorded a lot of his songs there. There's so many great songs of his, but they're ringing in my ears. So I thought I'd better share a little bit about him with you today, because one of his songs is That Was the River, This Is the Sea. It's a whole, just look it up. That was the river, this is the sea. He's speaking to the shift that happens from the narrow riverbanks of living a life that's yours, to entering into that deeper consciousness of, well, this is the sea. Yeah, you did your narrow life, this life that was for you, and you were meant to do that. That's the river. Nothing wrong with that. It was perfect. You were meant to do that. But at some point, the river has to become the sea. And we're all of us encouraged to step into that greater consciousness, and to be in the consciousness of the sea, if you like. One of my all-time favorite songs of his is a song called In My Time on This Earth. And I want to just share these lyrics with you, which I'm going to speak, by the way. I'm not going to sing them because that would be wrong. I'm not a great singer. I mean, I know that's not a great affirmation, but you know what I mean. I'm just going to tell you these words and just see if you can get a feeling for these. And then I'm going to say, just look up the song. In my time on this earth. Here's the chorus. In my time on this earth, I will speak the secret. In my time on earth, I will tell what is true. In my time on earth, I will say what the heart knows. In my time on earth, I will say, I am you. I will speak the secret. I will tell what is true. I will say what the heart knows. And I will say, I am you. That's Mike Scott, proper rock and roll mystic. I think a lot of us are living in the in-between right now. And there's a sense of a world that is going through an extraordinary amount of changes right now. More changes than we can possibly count. And my daughter Bo is reading a book at the moment about at school. She's 17, and she's reading a book right now which is sort of cataloging all of the strange things that have happened in the 20th century. The strange things like Einstein essentially having the nerve to question Newton's theories of how the universe works. Darwin having the nerve to question the Christian church's idea that the planet is 4,000 years old, when actually it appears to be about 13.8 billion years old. Yeah, strange things that are going on with the invention of the internet. Every now and then, I don't know wherever you live, but every now and then you still will see a phone box. Remember in the olden days when we used to go into a phone box and place a call? You'd never quite have enough money to get to the end of the call. It was so frustrating. You had just enough coins to get through if you were lucky. It was often cold if you lived where we lived, and all of that. But anyway, we're going through these incredibly strange times, and we are being asked to be more open, more receptive, and more willing, I think, to go for the ride than ever before. That's our work, is to take on the ride and to really, really go for it. And this is where we're at. And how do we do that? Well, I don't think we do it on our own. I don't think we're meant to do it on our own. I don't think we are capable of being able to do it on our own. It's something that we have to do together. We're living in the in-between. And many of the people who have attended the Success Intelligence Mastermind in the past have come because they're living in the in-between in their own life as well. They're between chapters. Many of them are experiencing what Joseph Campbell calls the end of normal. Joseph Campbell, the creator of The Hero's Journey, which I write about in Higher Purpose. For a lot of us, we're experiencing the end of normal for one reason or another, and hence we're in the in-between. For others of us, we're in the in-between because something has stopped us. We've come to a stop. We've come to a halt. That's what happened to me originally. When it came to creating Success Intelligence, I was running along, living in the fast lane, doing pretty well by the world standards, one success after another. And then one day I got a pain in my lower back, which I didn't listen to because I was chasing after happiness. And then the pain became a sting in my back, and I still didn't really pay any attention to it because I had a lot on. And then the sting turned into like a pain that was going up my back, and I was in a light sweat even whilst I was lecturing, but I still didn't do anything about it. And then eventually, after one lecture, I think I stooped to pick up a pen and I couldn't stand back up again. I was stopped, completely stopped. And for 6 months, I walked with a walking cane, a walking stick. This walking stick eventually became like a proper friend to me. I was so frustrated early on. I couldn't believe that I'd been stopped like this. I thought I was on track. I thought I was doing great. I thought I was doing everything I was meant to do. I was really upset, very frustrated, feeling like there was this massive obstacle in the way of my progress. When I eventually sort of surrendered to the stopping, and I didn't have surgery, I decided to elect to take the slow road and build my body back up naturally. Not because I'm against surgery, not that at all. It was a sense of, don't do a shortcut here, Robert, because if you do a shortcut, you'll find there'll be another stop very quickly that will happen. So anyway, I took the slow road. I had a walking stick. This walking stick became my great friend. I became part of a community of people who had walking sticks. I'd be out for a little walk in my neighborhood, and if somebody else was walking along with a walking stick, we'd make a point of crossing the road to meet each other and talking to each other. It was like we were in this community of slow time. We were doing everything more slowly than everybody else. It was really very, very poignant. When I tried to give the walking stick back, I was asked to give the walking stick back by my physio. And I tried to keep the walking stick, and I said, could I keep hold of this one? It was pretty old. I didn't think it was that valuable. And she said, no, I've got to have it back. And I said, could I buy it from you? And she said, no. And I actually cried when I had to give back my walking stick, because it was that important to me. I made really good friends with it. But what was clear was I needed to stop, because I needed to, if I didn't stop, I was only going to stay on the horizontal line. I wasn't going to go anywhere deeper or anywhere higher than I already was. So I needed that opportunity. Sometimes when we're in the in-between, it can feel like a period of darkness. We sometimes talk about the dark night of the soul. I actually think it's really a dark night of the ego, not a dark night of the soul. But it's painful and disorientating, so it often feels like it's, a soul event. What I would say is that, and I'm borrowing now from Meister Eckhart, the ground of the soul is dark. Darkness is a womb. When we're in the dark, we are being born, and something more soulful is happening. Sometimes in the in-between, we are being broken open. And Hazrat Inayat Khan, the Sufi teacher, he was alive before my time, but I knew his son, Pir Vilayat Khan. I met him. He said, Hazrat said, out of the shell of the broken heart emerges the newborn soul. So each new heartbreak invites us to let more love in and then be a more loving person, ultimately, as difficult as that is. In the in-between, I think what's happening is we're getting an upgrade, or we're participating in an upgrade in our own operating system. And this operating system is going to support us in a new beginning. So let's pause for a moment just here And let's take a moment, if you would like to say yes to living an even larger life. Let's just say yes to bringing your soul more forward in your relationships, in your life, and in your work. Ask the soul to step forward in the most gentle, kind, and loving ways, so that all of us and all of our parts can find a way to join in with this sense of stepping forward. Being more soul-centered, living a larger life, participating in the great work. And with that, I'm just going to pause here and just create a little space just to say, would anybody like to respond to what I've been saying? Have you got something on your mind that you'd like to say? Now I can see, hi there. I don't know how to say your name. Well, you already know who you are. Hi.
Hi, I'm Genoa.
Genoa, thank you. Genoa, nice to meet you. May I ask what your name means?
Actually, my name is pronounced Renoir, but I know the English version is Genoa. Unless you speak Arabic or French, it would be hard for you to pronounce it properly. So I'm
Yeah.
used to Genoa, the English version of it.
Okay, thank you. And what does it mean?
It actually means abundance and richness.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That sounds like an invitation to living a larger life.
Yeah, it is for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to say, I'm new to your world.
Mm-hmm.
My coach, actually, in one of our group coaching session, mentioned your poem about money and purpose, and I looked you up after, uh, and I was like blown away with the work that you do. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I don't know if there's accidents or coincidence, but I'm glad to be in your world, and I was touched by your story. So I appreciate all the work you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
reminding me of that poem as well.
Yeah, it's very powerful. I'll definitely when I share it with my clients and people in my life as well.
Yeah, thank you. Do you know, it was that poem reminds me of a conversation I had just last week with a young man. He's 25. He's a very good golfer. We were playing golf together in Scotland, and he caddies for very, very rich people who are playing golf. And he's done it for a little while, and he said, I've had enough. He said, I love golf, but I just can't do this anymore. And I said, well, why not? And he said, well, it's something to do with the people I'm with. And instinctively, I just said to him, these people that you're caddying, these super rich people, I said, do they have a light in their eyes? And immediately he said, yeah, that's it. They don't have a light in their eyes. And I said, everybody's got a light. That light actually never goes away. Everybody's got it. So let's never teach anybody that they're without a light, because they have a light. Everyone's got it. But one of the things I have noticed is that the difference between people who have a job and people who are living their purpose is that the people who are living their purpose have a light in their eyes. And there's something about that light that money can't buy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Money
agree.
can't buy that. It's amazing, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I can so relate to your story, and I appreciate you sharing your story because I am living in between. And like you, I used to live on the fast lane, and
Mm-hmm.
I could honestly say I've achieved everything on my bucket list. And I
Yep.
was always like on a mission to really even succeed more and achieve more.
Yes.
And until I was stopped,
Yes.
by a series of health issues and a big burnout.
Yeah.
And yeah, the first dark phase, it was like all what I wanted to do if I could go back to the way I used to be before, full of
Yes.
confidence and full of life. That's how I perceived myself. If I can
Hmm.
get back my mojo, that's all what I was hoping for. And I was trying to find answers to who am I without my status, without my title, without my six-figure income. And that journey actually took me to so many different places that I've never in my life thought that I would go there. Like I learned a lot about psychology, spirituality, and it actually get me to do something that is more aligned with who I am, which is more coaching. So now in retrospect, I'm so grateful for all these dark times, but
Yeah.
it took a lot of pain
Yeah.
get to even know about the hero's journey and to really to get to a place where I feel like I'm so grateful for all of that.
Mm.
And what happened to me is like it's almost like I shifted from one extreme to another extreme. Like I was very kind of do, and I'm just really on a mission, achieving on every level. And then all of a sudden, I kind of disassociated myself with all of my old version. And I start feeling I want to learn more about spirituality. I want to be more conscious. I want to live, like kind of give away all my attachment to material stuff. And then I felt like I swung to the extreme.
Yes.
And this, which I felt like this year, I think it's more, I feel more an integration harmony year because I felt I'm missing different, like some elements from my old life. I miss the challenge. I miss the excitement of the achieving. I miss the success, and I felt like I don't have to be either or. I could do both. And I'm still trying to find the harmony between doing and being and my old version of success, which was more about achieving in the old, like how society taught us to achieve, with my new definition of success, which is more about growth and impact.
Yes.
But I'm wondering what do you have, what wisdom you have to kind of really get in harmony between the two worlds, and what's your thoughts about even because I part of me doesn't want to give up the material stuff yet. Like part
Mm.
of me, I think I judge it for some time, but then I
Yes.
feel like what's wrong with having some luxury and really,
Mm.
like what do I need to give it up to feel more fulfilled? Can I keep it and at the same time really have a new definition for success that I feel more fulfilled with it?
Yes. Great. Yeah. Thank you. Well, look, I mean, what you're describing to me is it is the journey which is easier to feel grateful for in retrospect, because at the time it's really disorientating, isn't
Oh yeah, I was looking for a savior. I was
it?
like, get me out of this mess as
Yeah.
soon as possible. It was so painful.
Absolutely. So the first thing is that I would say is that success is a death. When you've been successful and you've accomplished everything you want to accomplish at a certain chapter in your life, that's the death in a way. That's the end of that journey. And so the self that reaches the end of that journey then starts to feel like it's dying because it's like, well, what now? So success is a death. Picasso said the problem with success is that if you're successful, you become a replica of yourself. So you're just on repeat, essentially. You might increase the numbers, but it's a repeat. So we have to, at some point, be undone. And in the undoing, in the darkness, where we don't have an image of ourselves, a new image of ourselves emerges. And this new image is more of who we really are. Now, there is a temptation I have noticed sometimes in an effort to move forward, we may try to make the past wrong. And we'll say, oh my God, that was so wrong. I'm now on the right path. My feeling is, no, you did the past well. That's what got you to this death, to this shedding of the skin. So actually, our work is to bring forward the success of the past, not make it wrong at all, but to see that it was a foundation for the next step on the journey. And in this next step of the journey, amazingly, these skills that you were willing to let go of will still be useful. And so therefore there's a way of taking the whole journey forward with us and honoring the whole journey and playing it more that way. In terms of, are we still allowed material things? My feeling is at the end of the day that the thing I do is is I just think to myself, whatever I've got, am I willing to share it? If the answer is yes, I think we're okay. If what I've got, whatever the thing is, if I'm not willing to share it, I don't think it's going to go very well. Yeah. So if you're willing to share it, I think the wisdom of the universe says, brilliant, send more to Jinwa because she's a great sharer. I think that's what that to me feels like. The intelligence of the universe is like, send all the good stuff to all the people who are willing to share it. Because if they're willing to share it, then that increases the abundance. Yeah. A couple of thoughts to some really big questions that you've asked. But I would say watch and notice how in the next stage of your journey, your old winning formulas, some of them you won't need anymore. For example, in the old journey, being really independent and self-reliant is a brilliant thing.
Yeah.
It helps you to go really, really quick. But in the next chapter, actually, it's about being less independent and more open to working together, for example. Yeah, that type of thing. In the old journey, though, it might have been your great skill was getting things done. In the new journey, it'll still be that. But what you're getting done now is even more meaningful than it ever was before. Yeah. So you want to bring forward all of the good stuff with you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think the struggle that I'm having right now is intellectually, I am creating a new definition of success, but the old pattern of how I define success, it's still in a way in the operating system.
Yes.
And I think there's still some resentment because I want to let it fully go. And then I realized, no, this is actually, it could serve me in the next phase. But I think there is just, I don't know how to leverage them in a way that would serve me better for the next phase of my life without resent them. Like it's like a dance between like I'm resenting them. They're running the show behind the scenes. Like, how do I integrate them? There's still a lot of questions to be asked.
Yeah, that's very understandable. And I would say, again, that's the sort of thing that a coach is good for. That's what a mastermind is good for, where you actually get to slow that whole inquiry down and see, yes, what can you take forward with you into the next step? What would you like, but also what would you like to do differently in the next step? All I know is that the intelligence of the universe was operating in the last chapter. So what you were up to in the last chapter wasn't wrong. It's just that what's going on now needs to be refined, honed for that next level of success, which will somehow be more meaningful, more soulful, more heartfelt than ever before. You're ready for that. And it's about also trusting that support will come as you move into that next step. The whole point of my model of success is that your success is your gift to the world. So life wants you to be successful. What we do have to do is make sure that your definition of success is big enough for you and that it's good enough for the rest of the world too.
Yeah, no, I love that. And just one quick question about the mastermind, like what type of participants and members you're inviting to this group? Like, are they from a different background, different industries? Can you maybe elaborate a little bit more about the mix of the group?
Yeah, I will. And I'll say a bit more right at the end about this. But the thing that I love the most is I have no idea who is ever going to turn up. And I really make sure that my invitation with the mastermind is as organic as possible. So I try to keep it a little bit, I rely on people getting like a heart yes to come, because I don't want to aim it only at a certain type of people. I think these journeys are great when you get a wide range of people that come and that you get a diversity. We're a small group, remember, we're about 15 normally, but I want it to be nice and organic. And I really trust in something that Joseph Campbell says, which is the creation of destiny communities. I trust that we're all meant to be together. Um, and what I'm hoping for or relying upon is that people get the yes in their heart. If they get the yes in their heart, I know we're on to something, if
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing.
So
Thank you.
it's
I
more,
appreciate the
it's,
wisdom.
yeah, it's so interesting how each one comes together. The other thing I'll say is that what I love with each mastermind is how there's often there's like a narrative that belongs to each mastermind that's unique to each mastermind. And I also love that. It's like, oh my goodness, that's amazing that that's happening right now. That's exciting to me. It's normally, though, really a narrative that's on point where we are in the world and maybe even what's going on in the world as well. So you get a feeling for that too.
Yeah, that's
All right.
amazing. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Appreciate the
Thank you.
wisdom.
I'm
Bye.
going to go. Lovely to speak to you. I'm going to go to Anne Naylor. Anne, good day. Oh, my goodness. What a joy to see you. You've got to come off mute so I can hear you.
Okay, am I off mute now?
Yeah, you are. Hi, Anne.
Hi, I'm just so enjoying what you're saying. Oh, music to my ears, of course. Not of course, but yes. Um, my situation is not having come from a background of great success in the normal sense of the word, but I see my life as having been successful. A lot of spiritual studies. And then I was to my track with, I call them my medical events. I don't need to go into details of, but it was 2 years effectively out of commission. And I had to stop. I couldn't think, I know after surgeries, my brain wasn't working and I had to stop. And I would say that my ego wasn't working for me. I was going along what I think I had to do to be successful and it wasn't working out.
Yeah.
And I observed that I had, I would say 60 years of being in a cocoon, because at the age of 12, for family reasons, I decided I didn't want to get close to anyone in case they left me. But that had an impact on a lot of areas of my life. But in that 60 years, I've been incubating a lot. I was involved with my life, I was doing things, but not achieving the success I thought life wanted me to have. Which was perfect, because it's like, okay, so I had to stop and I'm completing a book. And I don't really know where life is taking me next. And I don't want to know. I am happy. I don't want astrologers or people, saying, oh, you'll do this. No, 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 not anymore. I resonate with you say about people that getting the heart. Yes, I totally resonate with that. And you find the people around you who are appropriate to whatever your particular journey is. I totally resonate with that. And I feel that the book that I have written, it's about my experiences and the richness of my experiences that I'm very grateful for. They haven't brought me money, but they've brought me understanding and compassion and all sorts of good things like that. So I have no regrets about it. I'm grateful for all the blessings that came my way when I had difficulties. So I've had a very fortunate life, I would say. And I see with the book, it's almost like a business card for what is next, although I don't know what is next is yet. Because there are going to be people, because I've written it in a very personal way, there are people who are going to resonate with that.
Yeah.
Trusting that life is going to bring the people to me that I'm able to assist.
Yeah.
I'm working with just now is with building my confidence. Now, I can be confident sort of in a show-off kind of a way, but I want the confidence to come from the heart. And I'm doing a little exercise where 3 times a day, I check on my confidence level. And if it's, I ask God for help. And I have these little cards around me all the time. Ask God for help.
Good.
And it's amazing what happens. The energy in my body just changes when I ask God for help.
Well done.
And I wanted to find out how can I keep that presence of God within me more. And then not just when I'm feeling down and I need to feel up, and that would work.
Yeah.
So 3 times a day now, I'm just tuning into God, and confidence to me is about trust. It's confidence. It's trusting and really tuning to God's direction for me.
Yes.
And I was directed to come to this call.
Yep. Well done. This sounds good.
And I just
and you already are an amazing author. Obviously we met through the world of publishing and books and everything. It's amazing. What seems to me is what you're doing is what I think a writer does, you know, is that we become even more courageous. Even when we already thought we were being courageous, we're asked to be even more courageous than that. We become more self-revealing, more intimate, more, you know, more just sharing the love through our work, you know. And it sounds to me like that's what you're doing. The most amazing thing is to have, I'm thinking of another Mike Scott song now. He's got a beautiful song called My Beautiful Guide. You know, when I'm worried, when I'm anxious, I turn to my beautiful guide, the beautiful guide that's always been with me all through my life. The fact that you're connected to your beautiful guide, Anne, is all I could wish for you, you know, because my take on confidence, or at least one of them, is this idea that confidence is confiding in God. The more we confide in God, the more confident we become.
Oh, really? I love that. For 2 years, during the time I was going through my medical stuff, I wrote to God every day, except when I was going through post-surgery stuff and stuff. But I wrote to God every day. And then after I'm also doing a course. And so that ended. And I thought, okay, now I'm going out and very, very busy. And I was going fast. And I fell and crushed my right hand. So I couldn't write to God.
Wow.
It's like, oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
So I thought, if I can't write to God, I'm going to talk to God.
So even more direct.
Which is more direct. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I called this particular joint, which is just fine now. It wasn't damaged badly. I said, because of the illness I was going through, I called parts of my body by names, just a way of being friendly with them, really. And I said, okay, what's your name, joint? And I said, is it James? And the voice said, it's Jesus. And what happens now, if I'm pushing myself, because that's one of my weaknesses has been in the past, when I'm pushing myself, it aches. And oh, thank you, Jesus. You've reminded me to slow down.
Okay, that's beautiful.
The body is so wise. And
it is so wise.
If I could help people to awaken, like you talked about your experience, eventually the body made sure you listened. And I think our bodies are so wonderful like that.
They are.
And I'm so grateful for the experiences that have led me on this particular
Amazing.
trip.
Amazing.
And I don't need to know what God has for me. I know that what God's got for me is going to be very beautiful and perfect for what I have to contribute, which I also think that I haven't begun to really contribute what I have to offer yet. Okay. And so I'm starting.
A lovely Louise Hay affirmation, which is everything I need to know will be given to me in the perfect time, space sequence. I love that one, because that's the one that says, okay, I don't need it all up front. I can just get it a little bit along the way. And I've got to go because I'm looking at our time and I want to make sure I talk to Sarah. It's lovely to see you, Anne. It fills my heart with joy. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. God bless you.
Let's get to Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Robert. It's so good to see you. Oh,
good to see you too. Yes. Thank you so much for being here and for being interested in the mastermind. That's amazing.
Yes. Well, this is so timely, Robert. Like I was thinking when you first notified your mailing list of this, I thought, oh my gosh, January of 2025, that's so far off.
I know.
And now I'm seeing the divine timing of it being actually quite perfect for where I am right now, because 2 years ago, I sat with you on that couch back there behind you. Yeah. And you had shared about the stages of life and, Rudolf Steiner's work, and said something to the degree of, this is the summer of your life and, magic and rainbows and light. After that trip back to the States, I went through deep initiation for 2 years, a divorce, selling my dream home, becoming a single mother. Just so many different things of releasing my former coach, friendships that I had for 20 years. Very painful in the moment. Yeah. And now I am in the return.
Yes.
And I'm learning how to live without strategy and like the freedom of really being soul-centered. And as a result, these external things in my personal life and in my business, I'm seeing dreams come true that I thought at one point, oh, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
And seeing these dream clients and dream income and dream opportunities. And I mean, the right people in the right time. And I also feel, Robert, I wrote this in my application for this, I feel like I'm only scratching the surface, but there's no strategy to dive deeper into that. It's more like this.
Yeah.
And that's a wildly uncomfortable place to be, of like,
yeah,
I want to put my hands on the steering wheel again.
Absolutely.
And so the interest in this course is, will this be filled with people who too are on that path of how do I live that soul-centered life, giving myself the freedom to do the hero's journey, but also being like, I mean, I'm a vessel, and also there's action, but then there's also, it doesn't have to go into this toxic striving, toxic strategy, which I can so often default into.
No, absolutely. And but to me, what you're describing, if we go also just think about what Jinwa was sharing with us earlier, like in the past, you were this great strategist. So you've learned how to do strategy. Now, my feeling is that one of the reasons why you learn to do strategy is so that later on you get really good at being able to see divine strategy. See, if you'd never been a strategist, how would you have an appreciation for strategy? So I'm thinking, brilliant, absolutely great. Sarah was a terrific strategist. She got on the ego level, the sense of a separate self level, you got it down and you did it and you succeeded. What was the reward? Carnage. I mean, death. Again, great. It seems not like much of a reward, except that there is a larger life to live. You've done the ego strategy. It's a preparation now to begin to appreciate divine strategy. Oh my God, I'm part of a bigger story. Oh my God, this is so much bigger, than I realized. Hence why I feel like I'm scratching the surface. So I'm applauding your capacity to be a great strategist. And now it's time to be able to use that skillfulness to say, right, I'm going to recognize divine strategy. I'm going to join in with the bigger plan more fully than ever before. And whilst I will still have some parts, I love IFS work, for example, internal family system. If I still have some parts that are a bit worried about this divine plan and whether it's going to look after me or not, then my work is to attend to those parts and meet them with love and see if we can all come together on this journey and do something great together. So that's what you're describing. I feel comfortable, Sarah, in saying, I think that is it. I think that's right. I think this is what it's all for, is that we step into that larger life. And the more we do, the more we'll be held. And hopefully as well, we'll have the experience of seeing that we don't do this on our own. We do this in community. We get smart in creating our communities so we can help each other along the way.
Yeah, beautiful, Robert. It's delightful to right size it, because at the same time I feel so small.
Yes.
Right sized of like bigger agenda and curriculum of life. And yet I am feeling this call to some very specific, and not even a call, like the doors are opening before me. The red carpet is being laid out for some of these things that I feel, it's testing my ceiling on goodness. It's testing my ceiling on receiving. And that's what I would love to use this course for.
Fantastic.
Personally. Yeah.
That is definitely the territory of the program in the past. And I say that, I mean, I expect it to be there. That again, we're doing something where we're redefining what success is, and it's less about extraction and taking and gaining, and much more about this big share, the big share. And for me, the morality of it all, if you like, is, can I see that my success is good for others? And if I can, then we can afford to take that ceiling away.
Yeah, that's my work, Robert, right now. That's my work. That was really powerful.
That's your act of generosity to the world, is to take that ceiling away. Not just, by the way, not just for your family, but also for everybody. And it's my act too. I really feel that, like, it's even just today, I was doing a therapy session for me, and I was looking at how if I could agree to letting life love me even a little bit more right now, what an act of generosity that would be for my family, my friends, and even the people I'll never meet.
Yeah. Thank you, Robert.
Oh my goodness, amazing. Thank you, Sarah. Very, very lovely to see you. So let me I can see where our time is. This is all I really want to say to you, is that this mastermind represents a very significant shift for me. It was a shift from running events to hosting journeys. I was running around the world for a while, putting on 3-day events, 5-day events, having a great time with crowds of hundreds and hundreds of people. And after a while, on the journey home on the plane, I'd start to feel a bit lonely. I'd be thinking, well, I know that was a great time, but I'd love to know what everybody's up to now. So the idea was to move from events to journeys, to go on journeys where we get a chance to know each other. One of the things I love so much about these journeys is the way we get to support each other along the way. And even after the journey appears to be finished, I can pick up my iPhone and I can go on to my WhatsApp group, and Laura knows this too. I can go into my WhatsApp group and I've got the mastermind from 2020, 2021, 2022. And honestly, when we need to talk to each other, we do. And it's fabulous. I think my gift is that I really do know how to somehow bring, I don't know how to do it. I'm open to bringing people together, and we support each other in a way that lasts through the mastermind, but also beyond the mastermind. One of our mastermind groups, I think it's the 2021, they still meet up every month. I'm not there. Yeah, I think it's right, isn't it, Laura? 2020. Yeah. And it's so, it's all there. This is co-creative work. We're better together than being on our own. Peers, working with peers through the group, people team up and do things together, which is completely amazing. I end up on everybody's podcast as well, it seems. So, and teaching together sometimes. So there's lots of fun to be had along the way. Also, just to say, all of the sort of the stuff about what the program is, that's in the page, where you'll see that it's based on 10 live classes, a mentoring option with me, 6 coaching groups with your peers, an assignment after every class, but also this very lovely weekly flow. And this weekly flow is something you'll learn to rely upon, where there'll be a coaching tip on a Monday, which you can read in 3 minutes, but you can spend the rest of the week putting into practice. On a Tuesday, there's something dropped into the Success Intelligence library for you to take a look at. Normally on the Wednesday, there's the online class every 2 to 3 weeks. Then there's a follow-up email on the Friday, and there's a rhythm and a pattern that's there for you. And you'll see with the mastermind, I know everybody's busy already. So my work is to make sure that there's this light but very consistent touch that happens throughout the whole program. And it builds and it builds and it builds. And it's just a very, very lovely thing. For the people who want loads of stuff, it's there in the library. But I don't overwhelm everybody with that. It's just there in the library. I'll tell you when it's there. And hopefully we've got a nice balance between information and relationships, information and inspiration. At the end of it all, there's a certificate of attendance, and there is for those of you who want to use the work of Success Intelligence in your work, you are welcome to use any of it at any time. No license, nothing. It's just yours. Share it, but most importantly, make it your own. Is the program for you? All I want you to do is trust your heart. You don't have to be entirely ready to do the program. You just have to be ready enough. If you're waiting to be entirely ready, it might be a long wait, I would say. So just feel like you're ready enough. Are you qualified to do the program? That's a question I often get asked. There's this sense that often people will confess, like, oh my God, when I signed up to the mastermind, I had this thing going on that I was probably like going to be the lowest person in the whole of the group. So I've come across that quite a lot. All I would say is we just have so many people from so many walks of life. You can't possibly compare yourself to them. If you're you, that's good enough. That's good enough for me. What about age? I often get asked about age. Well, Sally, who's taken the SI Mastermind twice, is 89 years old. So hopefully that answers that one. I often do also get asked, will it work? It's a good question. Will it work? And my feeling is, well, is if you do the work, it will work. This is not spiritual entertainment. A mastermind is about giving as well as receiving as well. So it's but I think these things, they don't work in theory, they work in practice. Yeah. If you can't make up your mind about whether to join the mastermind or not, I would say firstly, notice what your body is telling you, listen to your heart. There is an application process, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you about it. And also just to say as well, in terms of the investment and the question of can I afford it, here's the thing I want you to know. Please don't put yourself under too much financial pressure. You know, one of the things I try to do with my work is to make sure that there are lots of things available at different price points. So don't ever put yourself under too much financial pressure. That said, in the program, there are options to take the classes and not have a mentoring track with me. And there's another option to do the classes and have a mentoring track with me as well. All right, that's some of the sort of the logisticy stuff. What we will do is make sure you get an email at the end of, in the next couple of days. And then there will be the link to the application, the link to everything you need to know. And because we do it on a first come, first serve basis. So if you do want to send in an application, do that reasonably soon. That's what I would say, because we only do the program once a year. All right. You can see I have much more fun talking about the material rather than the logisticy stuff, but it's all there. That's the point. And it's all available for you to see. And Laura, who was on the very first one and has been part of all of it with me. Laura, thank you for that. You know, Laura will be the person you will get to see over and over again, sitting there in her garden with the tree that doesn't really move in the wind.
Suspiciously still.
And also, why is it not raining?
I don't live in the UK.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. So, you know, between us and the rest of the team, and there is a team, we're here to look after you, to love you, to support you on the journey, and to take the journey with you as well. One of the things that's brilliant about Laura is that I know Laura takes the journey too. I take the journey too. It's why I only do one a year, because otherwise it would start to feel like a job instead of being a proper process for me to do my growing in with as well. All right, I think that's enough. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being with us. And whatever happens, just keep saying yes to living a larger life and allowing even more of your soul to come forward, because it knows how to do this. It knows the way forward. It is the strategist. It is the one that can do this for you and for the good of everybody else too. So that's a good thing. Thank you, everybody. Lots and lots of love, and see you along the way somehow. Thank you.